Welcome to the Bogosity podcast for the 14th of July, 2014, the podcast that thinks dry erase markers are evidence of magic. This is your host, Shane Killian, and joining me again this week are Tim Dyson and Jonathan Loche. Guys, welcome back to the show.
Pleasure as always.
Great to be back.
Let's black out the news of the bogus. And from our In Other News Water is Wet department comes more Snowden files showing that the NSA intercepted data of people who weren't targets far more often than people who were.
Shocker of the century.
This is the determination of a 4-month investigation by the Washington Post of documents they received from Edward Snowden. There were more than 160,000 conversations from over 11,000 untargeted individuals, many of whom were American citizens and residents referenced by email address.
Well, when you cast a wide enough net.
You still don't catch anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing is, at first it was really upsetting that they were doing this sort of thing, like, oh, what are they going to spy on? But now it's gotten ridiculous. Like, all of these conversations, what could they possibly hope to get from all this? There's not enough hours in the day to search through all that and find anything meaningful. I mean, I could probably find more terrorists by going door to door and saying, hey, are there any terrorists here?
Or just search them on Google, search for terrorist organizations and email them, yeah.
Don't give them any ideas.
Hey, at least it would cost less money.
And many of these were retained, even though the analysts themselves said that the data was no use to them.
Wouldn't police get in trouble if they were looking at something they didn't have a warrant for? Like, wouldn't it actually be inadmissible in court if it found out they were not authorized to get that information?
Yeah, but they're not taking anyone to court, they're just spying.
But wouldn't it still mean, even if they did find something, it would still be inadmissible then?
Well, I mean, we've looked at stories like this in the past, and there have been defense people who say, hey, did you get this from warrantless wiretapping or, spying on emails or whatever? And they get around and say, well, that's national secrets, we don't have to tell you.
But then we don't have to accept your evidence. Have a nice day.
That's how it should be, But here's the interesting thing. A startling amount of these emails involve, exchanges of sexual liaisons, mental health crises, political and religious conversations, and many more of the subjects that soap operas are made of. So apparently NSA agents aren't allowed to watch daytime TV and they have to get their fix somehow.
Sounds more like if someone's running for a candidate or something, they can just look up some dubious thing in their history and bring that up or something. That's what it sounds like you'd be seeing this more likely to be used for.
But there was something like 38 untargeted individuals spied on for every single actual target.
Why? Is it that hard to get the right guy?
I don't know. This was all collected under the authority of the 2008 FISA amendments, passed by the Democratic Congress and signed by George W. Bush.
At least they have some things they can agree on.
Bipartisanship, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, that's what it gets you.
This goes back to what Glenn Greenwald was saying, and this isn't about spying. This isn't about national security. All the NSA is, at this point, is just one big collection dump of data on the American citizenry. And sure, like Tim was saying earlier, maybe not today there doesn't exist a computer that can analyze all that in a practical manner, but I can remember when a computer with more than 2 megabits of memory seemed impossible.
My first computer had 3 kilobytes of memory.
Exactly. If this is allowed to continue, at some point technology is going to get to the point where you could start analyzing all this truckloads of data.
I don't know. It's not just a matter, though, of things like processing power or whatever. Computers would have to get more intelligent because they've got to be able to parse all this information. And the level of artificial intelligence that's required to do this kind of thing, they've been working on that for 50 or 60 years and they haven't gotten anywhere with it.
I don't think there's really that much to be really worried so much to say about it. What I really think is going on here is they know they're not accomplishing anything. This is all just a huge make work project for people who don't want to get real jobs. They can justify more budgets, hire more people, and they're not actually accomplishing anything, and they don't have to answer to anybody when they're not accomplishing anything. It's perfect. It's the perfect thing for underachievers.
Well, since we're not accomplishing anything, that means we need more money, because we obviously don't have enough money to accomplish things.
Yeah, don't we all wish our jobs worked like that? Actually, no, I don't. I'd find the people I work with insufferable.
That's true. Well, meanwhile, Glenn Greenwald is posting more releases on The Intercept, and he's posted 5 examples of people the NSA and FBI have been spying on. And these are just 5 of over 7,400 email addresses monitored between 2002 and 2008. And these include Faisal Gill, a Republican candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates, Asim Ghafoor, an Indian lawyer who was representing clients in terrorism cases, and Nihad Awad, executive director for the Muslim civil rights organization Council on American Islamic Relations. And all of them have denied any connection to a terrorist activity. None have ever advocated violent jihad or have been implicated in any crime whatsoever.
Yeah, like I said, it looks like they're just trying to get dirt on potential political enemies.
Maybe the lawyer's the one that's most disturbing because, here he is trying to defend people accused of terrorism, and whether they're guilty or not, they deserve a legal defense and a legal counsel for them. And if they just start harassing all these lawyers for these defenses, they're not supposed to do that.
Not supposed to do lots of things, Shane.
True. But check this out. One of the documents is an internal memo from 2005 that was demonstrating how to justify FISA surveillance, and the example they give is of a fictitious terrorist known as, get this, Mohammed Raghead.
No, don't ask. We have no idea why his parents hated him so much. Mohammed Raghead? Come on, guys. I'm a writer. Give me 5 minutes. I could have come up with a better name for you than that.
Yeah, but just imagine if that had been, a black person and they'd come up with, like buckwheat or something like that.
Yeah, I will say this too. What Greenwald said later on, there's something really effective. He couldn't imagine the NSA spying on the director of the ACLU like this. Let's be honest. There's probably some ACLU emails in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all.
And I think I said this is really the first time concrete that we have specific American citizens that we know of that have been targeted by the NSA, right?
Right.
So this goes beyond the whole national security aspect. This goes into the fact that we have now proof of gross violations of the Constitution on these people. Now, I think that the next part is that several of these individuals have said they're going to sue the NSA. So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, good luck to them. But you're talking about, we known for years that the Bush administration did this all over the place in Iraq, and yet, Bush, Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, notice how none of those people are in jail for war crimes like they would be in any just universe.
Well, the good news is that's just going to end up screwing the whole thing anyway, because when people are seeing these people doing things they shouldn't be, getting away with it, what do you think that's going to do to public confidence in government? It's already at an all-time low, and it's only going to get even worse.
Hackers, terrorists, the NSA. But I repeat myself. Your online security is under attack, and the weakest point is your password. That's why you need LastPass. LastPass plugs into your browser and allows you to randomly generate strong, unique passwords anywhere on the web, all protected by one master password. LastPass sets up in minutes and gives you secure automatic logins throughout the web, synchronizing across all your browsers and all your computers, at home, at work, or on the road. It even securely stores sensitive form data, including credit card numbers, backup sensitive documents, membership info, Wi-Fi logins, and more. And with LastPass Premium, you can get these benefits on other applications and even mobile devices, and also get priority customer support. Sign up at password.bogosity.tv for a free month of LastPass Premium. Log in securely everywhere using the last password you'll ever have to remember. Go to password.bogosity.tv and get LastPass now. Okay, I hope no one gets whiplash from shaking their head too much over this next one. And we've covered this sort of thing before, where ordinary teenage sex becomes child pornography in the digital age. So, in Virginia, we have a 17-year-old in a relationship, apparently a sexual one, with a 15-year-old, something which shouldn't really alarm any intelligent, enlightened person in the 21st century. But the 17-year-old is facing charges of manufacturing and possession of child pornography. If convicted, he could be incarcerated until he's 21 and put on the sex offender list for life.
Pure nonsense. That's all it is.
Apparently, his 15-year-old girlfriend initiated the sexting. She sent him photos of herself, and he sent her a video in return. The girl has not been charged.
Naturally.
Well, get this. The prosecutors need to prove that an erect penis in the video is his. So, they want to force him to get an erection and take a picture of it.
You know, this is just one of those cases where you want to pick people up and shake them and go, can you even hear yourself? Can you seriously hear what you're suggesting here?
They obviously can't hear themselves when you have your head shoved so far up your own ass.
Well, and apparently they've already taken photos of his non-erect penis. I guess that just isn't enough. So, I mean, the reason why child pornography is a problem is because creating it is abuse of a minor, and that can create lifelong psychological problems. But first of all, it's really difficult to see how a teenager taking a picture of himself or herself can be considered abuse and how it can result in any of these problems. But what these prosecutors want to do it is the very abuse they accuse him of committing.
Irony has an address.
Ugh. I get so angry thinking about this. And
The Amazing Atheist did a video about this, and he actually posted contact information for all the people involved, so...
Wow.
Everyone, please give him a call and tell him what you think of them, please. These people don't deserve protection. Unbelievable.
Send him a nice letter.
I'll be diplomatic, but I certainly won't be nice.
Well, according to Jessica Foster, the teen's lawyer, quote, "The prosecutor's job is to seek justice. What is just about this? How does this advance the interest of the Commonwealth? This is a 17-year-old who goes to school every day, plays football, has never been in trouble with the law before. Now he's saddled with 2 felonies and the implication that he's a sexual predator. I don't mind trying the case. My goal is to stop the search warrant. I don't want him to go through that. Taking him down to the hospital so he can get an erection in front of all those cops, that's traumatizing."
It just reeks of ulterior motives here. Like, good lord, you guys.
What ulterior motive? I can't even understand what they're thinking enough to know what their motives might be.
We're untouchable anyway, so let's see how much we can get away with. That's what it sounds like. I can't think of any other explanation. I mean, surely they don't think nobody's going to have a problem with it. You can't be that out of touch with them, everyone else.
Well, according to Floris Laboy, the teen's guardian ad litem, quote, "They're using a statute that was designed to protect children from being exploited in a sexual manner to take a picture of this young man in a sexually explicit manner. The irony is incredible. As a parent myself, I was floored. It's child abuse. We're wasting thousands of dollars in resources and man hours on a sexting case. That's what we're doing."
Yeah, parents, think of this story next time you hear politicians talk about think of the children. Because clearly they're thinking of your children, and believe me, they're not nice thoughts.
But you know, the time when they updated the story to say, hey, the Manassas City Police has released a statement on it, I was like, oh, okay, here, now we're going to get the other side of the story. We're going to hear that, no, that's not what they want to do, that they were really talking about this other thing, or it was a tactic to taint the jury pool or whatever. In actuality, their response is pretty surreal. Quote, "It is not the policy of the Manassas City Police or the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to authorize invasive search procedures of suspects in cases of this nature, and no such procedures have been conducted in this case. Beyond that, neither the police department nor the Commonwealth's Attorney Office discusses evidentiary matters prior to court hearings." But we're not talking about an invasive search procedure, and nothing in this entire statement is an actual denial of the accusation.
Hey, yeah, you'd think that'd be the first thing they'd say. It's like, oh no, we're not doing that. Seriously. Whoever got that idea, no.
It's like they weren't even trying to do damage control there. And I mean, this kind of thing goes on all the time. Children are sexual creatures. I know we don't want to think of them that way, but they are, and they do this on their own, and now they've got a way to do it where it can be recorded. I mean, I bet you anything. Oh, I mean, let's face it, kids have been sneaking around behind the barn to do that sort of thing, for centuries. But I really think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when all the millennials grow up, because, I mean, they're all doing this, and then they're all growing up and they're in charge, and then you have a hysterical parent. Oh, my 17-year-old son has a nude picture of his 15-year-old girlfriend, and they'll be like, so, who doesn't?
And even worse, they're going to be people who have been targeted by policies like this or know people who have. I mean, police wonder why confidence in them is decreasing. Well, guess what? All those kids you abused, they grow up to become voters. And the old people who remember the good old days, they're dying out.
Mm-hmm.
Put 2 and 2 together. What do you think's going to happen? You reaped what you sowed, guys, so not getting my sympathy.
History is written by the winners, and so apparently is economics. That's why there's LibertyClassroom.com. Probably the best single learning resource for history and economics on the web, LibertyClassroom.com teaches U.S. history, Western Civ, and economics from actual university professors. There's lots of free material to get you started, including introductory lectures on all these subjects, and when you sign up, you get the full site's content for just $99 a year, less than the price of 2 cups of coffee a month. And if you type in the promo code Bogosity in all caps, you'll get your first year for just $88. Lectures are available in both video and audio format, so you can watch or listen to them on your computer, your phone or tablet, or in your car. Learn at your own pace about the subjects you're interested in and become a more effective debater. You'll also get access to lots of supplemental materials and even the professors themselves via the discussion forum and even live video chats. Inform yourself against the myths and propaganda of our society. Visit LibertyClassroom.com. Do you want answers to creationist claims against evolution? Would you like to know more about evolution yourself, or even engage creationists more directly, with actual peer-reviewed sources to back you up? My book, How Evolution is Scientific, is designed to show the basics of evolutionary theory and how it is so well supported using the scientific method. It's impeccably sourced, with references to the actual scientific material, and is arranged using the creationists' own criteria of what is scientific. Using their own arguments against them, see how evolution is scientific, but creationism is not, based on observations, accurate predictions, logic, and evidence. Get answers to common creationist claims, and even a primer on abiogenesis, the start of all life. It's all in my book, How Evolution is Scientific, available at Amazon and on Kindle, EPUB, and PDF as well. Get How Evolution is Scientific and never be taken in by creationists again. Alright, after that, I think we need a good news story. And we've heard this before. Cops enter a home in a no-knock raid. The homeowner thinks they're criminals and fires at them, and things generally don't end well. Katherine Johnston comes to mind. But that happened to Adrian Perriman back in 2010, and guess what? A jury just acquitted him of all charges.
Oh, nice. What exactly was the story?
Well, apparently Perriman's house had been broken into twice before, so he had every reason to fear more criminals. So they bust in. It's actually his girlfriend who woke him up, frantic, handed him the gun, told him people had broken in. According to both of them, they had not identified themselves as police until after he started shooting. He went in to engage with them, and I think they have like a daughter or something like that, and she was trying to shield her daughter from that. And Perryman warned them, quote, "I've got a gun and I'm going to shoot, stay out." And after he realized they were police, he apologized and surrendered, and saying he didn't know they were police, but that didn't stop prosecutors Stephen Spire and Julie Wright from handing the jury a line of bull, claiming that they yelled, "Police, search warrant," as they broke down the door. And how are you supposed to hear what people are yelling over the noise of a door being broken down?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't even fly even if it were true.
Yeah.
Don't they have to identify themselves before they can do that?
Well, in a no-knock warrant, the idea is they don't identify that they're going to bust in and catch you, but they do need to identify themselves upon entering in a way that you can hear. And Wright also said, quote, "He was shooting straight at them. He certainly wasn't firing into the ceiling." Why should he have to? If he thinks the criminals are breaking into his home, why should he fire into the ceiling? What good's that going to do?
Potentially scare them off, but nonetheless, at that point, if you're actually a burglar, yeah, you completely brought it onto yourself. You initiated the use of force. You are responsible for what happens, including if that means you get yourself shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're bursting in like that, you don't know if they're armed. You shoot into the ceiling, they return fire, you're dead. So the jury acquitted him after deliberating for 10 hours, which isn't very long as jury deliberations go. So congratulations to them for seeing sense and not succumbing to police worship. Here's hoping more juries follow suit.
Yes, indeed.
I doubt it, but maybe this will make other departments at least give second thoughts to these no-knock raids.
Or at least train them how to do it in a way that lets the people know that once the people are bursting in, let them know, yes, we're the police. I mean, you'd think that would be the first thought, people just bursting in out of the blue, you don't know who they are. I would think that would be the first thing you'd be concerned about. But no, it's just like they shout, police is kind of a technicality, and then they want to go in and do what they want. I don't know.
Well, thankfully it didn't end worse, because it could have ended with someone dead. That was reckless behavior on the police's part, and, well, hopefully some lessons might be learned, but hard to say.
You say you don't like Bitcoin? Why not? Oh, because it's not gold. No problem. Just go to coins.bogosity.tv and you'll be taken to Coinable, where you can buy gold or silver coins or bars with your Bitcoins, with literally up-to-the-minute spot pricing. Now there's no reason not to jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon. Whether you're a Bitcoin miner, service operator, Bitcoin business owner, or market speculator, you can get gold and silver from reputable dealers. And Coinable has Bitcoin liquidity for fast processing of your order. Coinable even utilizes a special shipping infrastructure to ensure that your investment arrives safely at your door. And you know what? By going to coins.bogosity.tv, you won't pay a penny more, a Satoshi more for your purchase. But you'll help this podcast. You can even sell your gold and silver for Bitcoin as well. Coinable is your Bitcoin to gold marketplace. So go to coins.bogosity.tv and start turning your Bitcoins into gold now. Bogosity.tv and all of its services are hosted at GoDaddy. I've been very satisfied with GoDaddy's services and their wonderful 24/7 customer support for over 10 years now. So I'm happy to be able to give you this special offer. Just sign up for any new domain, web hosting, email, or other service and get 35% off with the code WOWNOBOGON. That's WOWNOBOGON. Because there's nothing bogus about these savings on quality internet hosting. Just go to GoDaddy.com and use the code WOWNOBOGON. And now it's time to juggle insanely this week's biggest bogon emitter. The clown-faced hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse and their fans, known as Juggalos, have faced oppression at the hands of the FBI, who named them a, quote, loosely organized hybrid gang in their 2011 National Gang Threat Assessment. The threat they pose covers 2 pages and several bullet points. According to the report, they weren't just gathering for purposes of musical appreciation, they were, quote, forming more organized subsets and engaging in more gang-like criminal activity.
They were listening to music. Get over it.
By God, they're face painting and they might be smoking marijuana with jazz singers.
Well, that's the thing. They were talking about this criminal activity. I thought criminal activity was activity that was a crime, but they haven't listed any sort of crime. Other gangs in the report, they mentioned things like drug trafficking, homicide, and stuff like that. They couldn't really pin anything illegal on the Juggalos. Quote, Juggalos' disorganization and lack of structure within their groups, coupled with their transient nature, makes it difficult to classify them and identify their members and migration patterns. Oh, how clever of them. They're an organization that's disorganized, with a structure that lacks structure. They even have migration patterns, which, unless they're sensitive to the Earth's magnetic field and travel north and south seasonally in flocks, seems to be just saying they move around a lot.
Organization who lacks order? Am I the only one whose first thought was government when I heard that?
Well, who wants to bet these migration patterns correlate strongly with wherever ICP is touring at the time? Hey, maybe the Deadheads were a gang too.
Yeah, coincidences. Will they never cease?
I mean, this is just social networking websites are a popular conveyance for Juggalo subculture. You could say that about anything.
Yeah, but maybe they're doing it on 4chan.
You could pretty much say this about any group that has any... Half the stuff I could replace Juggalo with Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Oh, you can probably pin more crimes on soccer fans. And more violence on them and rioting and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, this is just more of their weak attempts to try to engage in censorship without actually looking like they're engaging in censorship. And not doing a very good job of it. Like, all this, like, whatever, all the stuff the FBI says, all I can hear is, we don't like them and we want to find some excuse to bust them. And to the old people who are all going on about how evil ICP or whatever other band du jour is, go back and think back to your teenage years. What kind of stuff were you into that your parents probably didn't approve of? Hypocrisy much?
Yeah, I'm thinking of someone who, had a big following and all of the younger people, the 20 and 30 somethings, loved him, and all of the, parents and grandparents were saying it was horrible music and it was evil and a cult and it was going to corrupt the minds of the youth into, Satan worship and sexual depravity. And you know who I'm talking about?
Elvis?
Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This has been going on for a long time, people. Well, the report said that a, quote, small number of them have engaged in serious crimes. Well, yeah, what does that mean? A small number of pretty much any group engages in serious crimes. Just because a small number of people engage in statistics, people.
Oh yeah, they love that kind of cherry picking to discredit groups they don't like. I mean, they do it to men's rights activists. They do it to atheists. They do it to they do it to gamers. Oh man, do they do it to gamers? And it's ridiculous. And the rate of crimes among all those groups is no higher than it is anywhere else. It's just profoundly meaningless nonsense.
Well, if you ask me, if you're looking for clowns who are dangerous and have dangerous followers, just look at Congress. Much more dangerous.
And they're not even funny either.
I looked at this, and they actually list at the FBI has listed all the gangs that police should watch out for in the back here. This is just some of the most stupid names I've ever. It makes you just wonder if somebody was just doing this for the lulz. There's the Nazi Satan Juggalos, the Midway Goons, Power Progress, whatever the heck that's supposed to be.
So, fast forward to today, ICP has sued the FBI along with the Michigan ACLU, and this should be a no-brainer. But nope, U.S. District Judge Robert Cleveland dismissed the case, saying the FBI's report, quote, does not recommend any particular course of action for local law enforcement to follow. No, it's just advising state and local police that they're a criminal gang. What harm could possibly come from that?
Yeah, it's still discrimination. Doesn't matter what you advise doing about it. If I say this group or all that, it doesn't matter whether I advise them action against them or not. That is still discrimination.
ICP member Joseph Bruce said, quote, this is not the end. We'll keep fighting to clear the Juggalo family name. While it is easy to fear what one does not understand, discrimination and bigotry against any group of people is just plain wrong and un-American.
Yes, indeed. And I truly wish you luck on that one.
And meanwhile, who wants to bet that sales of their records get a little bump because of this?
Naturally.
So yes, Judge Cleveland, with one stroke of the gavel, becomes this week's biggest bogon emitter. Christmas time is just 6 months away, and the most classic of Christmas stories is A Christmas Carol. But how much do you know about the original Charles Dickens novella? Have you dismissed it as a children's book with one-dimensional characters amounting to nothing but platitudes and cliches? Maybe your appreciation of the book was even muted by those dry, boring, annotated books they made you read in school. My book, the sarcastically annotated A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, uses both facts and humor to present the book in a way you probably haven't seen it before. Giving praise when deserved and beratement when warranted, this book is put in the perspective of its time and shows a dimensional, multi-layered Ebenezer Scrooge from start to finish. Skepticism, history, and even economics are employed to show the book in relation to today in an easily accessible format. Appreciate the Christmas of your youth all over again. Get the sarcastically annotated A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, available at Amazon and on PDF as well. And now it's time to retrieve from cold storage this week's Idiot Extraordinaire! And this one comes from our What department as What happened when what was what? Okay, so you guys know about smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's caused by the variola virus. It was eradicated from the world, except for a few stocks in highly secure places. They stopped the smallpox vaccine in 1979 after they were sure it was eradicated from the wild. As of 1984, the only known stocks of variola virus, which would be necessary if it came back somehow and they needed to make a new vaccine all of a sudden, were at the CDC in the US and at Vector in Russia. That is, until earlier this month. The NIH found vials of variola in an unused storage room in an FDA facility in Bethesda, Maryland. And somehow the FDA just missed the order to destroy the vials.
Oh, dear.
Oops.
Oh, dear. Oh, and if somebody had checked that out not knowing what it was, oh, man.
Yeah, thankfully, there's no evidence that the vials were breached, no evidence anyone was exposed. After all this time, the virus may not be alive anymore. The CDC has tested the samples, and they do contain variola virus DNA, but they're testing them now to see if they can grow a culture, to see if they're actually active, and after the testing's done, they'll destroy the sample. But
Well, I guess my question would be, why would you want to destroy the samples if there's only so many strains left out in the world?
Well, because they're not supposed to exist at all. You know, they have what they need at the CDC and in Russia, and they work on maintaining those, and they can do it securely, and they can do it, without, contamination.
But, I guess what I'm saying is now that this other strain is in a proper facility, just to see if there's any genetic differences or something. I don't know.
Well, apparently they've already sequenced the DNA. So.
Oh, okay.
But, this is surreal. How did they get there? Where did they come from? Why weren't they destroyed? And more disturbingly, are there any more lying around anywhere where things might not work out so well?
And people go on about how we need the FDA to check every single product out there. These people can't even keep their own records straight?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What if it had been America or somewhere they found this there? Can you imagine?
And this is what happens when you put your faith in the government. It is not an all-knowing entity. Mistakes happen. This got out in the wild. We're talking about something that would bulldoze through population centers.
Well, they've always had, some vaccines on standby, ready to go through. And I can show you the scar on my arm because I'm old enough to have the vaccine. The vaccine is actually kind of nasty. It makes this huge lesion on your arm, but it doesn't spread anywhere else. It just kind of infects that muscle, and it's attenuated so your body can fight it off. But yeah, it would be a huge thing if smallpox got back out into the wild. Yeah, so this is quite a snafu. And for that, the FDA absolutely deserves to be named this week's Idiot Extraordinaire. Well, that wraps up this lemon curry edition of the Bogosity podcast. Please visit the forums at Bogosity.tv where you can read the show notes and join the discussion on these and other subjects. This podcast is free but not free to produce, so please donate via PayPal or Bitcoin at the top of the Bogosity.tv website or down the right-hand side of the podcast page and give generously to keep this podcast going. And if you'd like to contribute to the podcast, just send a question, statement, news article, or rant to podcast@Bogosity.tv. Put it in an audio file, and if it's good enough, it'll get played right in the podcast. Thank you for listening, and thanks again to Tim Dyson and Jonathan Loche for joining me.
Take care as always.
Great to be back.
Until next time, here's a quote from the 1977 U.S. Privacy Study Commission. The real danger is the gradual erosion of individual liberties through automation, integration, and interconnection of many small, separate record-keeping systems, each of which alone may seem innocuous, even benevolent, and wholly justifiable. The Bogosity Podcast is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported License.
Bogosity.
Bogosity.tv is a participant in the Amazon Services LLC Associates Program, an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for sites to earn advertising fees by advertising and linking to Amazon.com. Just clear your cookies and go to Amazon.bogosity.tv, or check the right-hand side of the podcast page for Amazon's best deals, including the deal of the day and limited-time lightning deals on all sorts of great products. So next time you buy online, go to Amazon.bogosity.tv.
Yeah, the newspaper in my province, the headline story was that the province was losing 120 million tax dollars to bootleg cigarettes. Especially young people were buying them because they were way cheaper than the ones they got that the price is all jacked up because of all the taxing on it.
Wow, if only someone could have predicted that.
Yeah, apparently you can't just raise prices all you want and everyone will just keep on paying it. Who would have imagined? And I especially love when they say 120 million in lost taxes, like, oh no, the poor politicians won't be able to buy their 9th yacht.
Yeah.
I'm tearing up as I say it.
I think that might be one of the things that causes them to be against e-cigs. Because I don't think that they're not as expensive as cigarettes, so the taxes on them aren't going to be as much, and they encourage people to quit smoking, so...
Oh, yeah. They don't want people quitting smoking. That's nonsense. Because they make too much money off it.
I'm sure they're popped up around Asia. I don't know if they're legal in Canada or not, but the roll your own places, those have sprung up like the plague around me. The way they work, at least in Florida, is you go to one store and you buy the loose tobacco and the filters and stuff. And then you go to another store, either like next door or a couple doors down the strip mall, and they have like a little machine that you put the filters in and you pour the tobacco in, and it makes all the cigarettes for you. And it's only like a carton of Marlboros is like $60 around here versus $25 at the roll your own place.
I mean, the price of cigarettes, you might as well just set a pile of money on fire and inhale it. It's ridiculous. This is why I would never smoke. I'm way too cheap. I got a coworker who he says that stuff doesn't affect him because he gets these cigars. They're the size of cigarettes, but they're cigars. I'm not sure where he gets them from, but
cigarillos.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
something like that, I guess. I'm not really an expert. I don't smoke. But yeah, they've done articles about that before, and they always say, "Oh, because the bootleg cigarettes are potentially unsafe, we got to protect people." Yeah, people, save that for your cronies. They need their delusions reinforced more than I need my intelligence insulted. Thank you very much.
My cousin was telling me he lives up in New York. Guess how much a pack of cigarettes is in Manhattan?
$6.
What are you living in 1990, Shane?
I don't know. I don't smoke. I have no idea how much they cost.
$18.
Wow. So if you're a 2-pack-a-day smoker, that's, what are they, $18? That's $36 a day. That's over $250 a week.
What? And people complain that MMO subscriptions are a waste of money. Unbelievable.
That's a house payment.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Oh.
Yeah. There's $15 in taxes imposed on every pack of cigarettes in New York City.
Wow. So the cigarettes themselves are $3.
Yeah.
It's weird how people's perceptions of that. I've seen people who smoke and they say, "Why do you pay money to play World of Warcraft? It's $15 a month." I've seen people who put more money than that into vending machines on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Well, and then the New York City, they were bitching because in the city they raised the minimum. You have to be 21 to buy cigarettes now in the city.
Yeah, that's totally going to stop people from smoking.
Well, and then they were bitching because the revenue from taxes was lower.
Wow. Okay, so you say that if you're under 21, you're not allowed to smoke, so they don't buy it from 7-Eleven and pay the taxes. They go from the street dealer and buy some Lucy's or whatever. And so they're not getting the tax money, and then they're wondering why the tax revenues are down.
Well, no, what people do is, what they either do is they go to roll your own places in Jersey or Pennsylvania, and then bring them into the city and sell them on the street. Or even my cousin, he would go down like once a month to North Carolina. I'm not sure where he was getting cartons for like $15 a carton.
That's probably about right. Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing people have done. They grab some cartons here in North Carolina, go up to New York and just sell Lucy's on the street for, $2 a piece or whatever.
He'd drive down North Carolina with like 50, he'd buy like 100 cartons of cigarettes. And then even if they only sold the cartons for $40 a pop, that's still way cheaper than what you can get them in the city legit for. God. You're an evil person for not paying your taxes.
Yes, I want to pay my taxes to pay for all this NSA spying and all the foreign wars and the war on drugs and everything.
And who's going to fund the retirement of foreign dictators if not us?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.